All right. Mm. Hey everyone, thanks for coming back for another movie review with the Genuine Guys. This week we're doing Mortal Kombat, and as always, remember there will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched the movie yet, then go watch the movie before watching this. Today we have the original cast of Genuine Guys back at it. I know it's been a while, but you have me, Zyda, you have Ghost,
What's up, everyone?
and you have Reaper back at it with us.
What's up, y'all?
All right, so we're just going to dive right into it. What do you guys think about Mortal Kombat 2021?
Reaper, you want to start this?
I know you're the one with the
You
MK background, so
let's go. Yeah, I'll start it. So initially, I was excited. The trailers and that one trailer everywhere that was plastered, where it's Scorpion, pretty much fighting. It wasn't Sub-Zero. It was Lin Kuei. The opening scene, it was plastered everywhere. That little bit gave you so much hope for this movie. Like I was looking forward to it. Coming in, I know they were going to introduce a new character, Cole Young. I didn't know how he was going to be tied into it, and I was open to that. And the reason I was open to that is, if you guys remember the Star Trek reboot with Chris Pine, like even though it's not attached to the main storyline, main saga, it was great. I was hoping they go something like that. They do a side storyline. Mortal Kombat in its lore has done multiple timelines, so I was open to something exciting, and that's what I was hoping they were doing. And I was genuinely disappointed when I watched the movie. I think I text Adrian within the first 25 minutes. I was like, man, I have to go to work. That's how unexcited I am to watch it that I paused it and went to work. Yeah, I paused it and then went to work, and I watched it. I told him, like, I was like, hey, it's 5 o'clock. I'm about to jump on and watch the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just one thing. Like after that opening scene, it was so many. It's just the bad one-liners when Sonya's explaining to start with the fight scene with Hanzo Hasashi and Bihan. I was like, this is amazing. And they introduced the daughter, and I was like, okay, cool. So here's the new character. I thought it was going to be the daughter, because if you follow the game line, the game storyline, it's the first two, three Mortal Kombats. You don't know who either one of them are. It always says unknown. And I remember that from playing the first game on my Sega Genesis. It'd say Sub-Zero, unknown, fighting for Shang Tsung and the Nether Realm.
Mm-hmm.
It was like you didn't know who it was. So I was like, okay, cool. When it comes from an unknown story, introduce a daughter, I'm open to it. And then Raiden shows up, and you know what? I didn't like just the way Raiden came in. This going back to the original movie, original Mortal Kombat. That Raiden was so like awesome. He was a white guy, which was kind of like, what the hell? At least this one, he is Asian, so I was like, all right, cool. But he just had this. He didn't have the screen presence that I can't remember the actor's name from the original Mortal Kombat had. The guy who played Hanzo Hasashi, oh my God! Every time he was on screen, he dominated it.
Yeah.
Now, you you fast forward to Cole Young, and he's in the ring, and you're like, oh, damn. He's like his fight scene. And I was like, finally, we get a mixed martial artist in the game. Hopefully, Cole Young translates over to the game, make people like me happy, because I like him as a character. His daughter was legit in the movie. Him losing the fight, I was like, okay. Then they introduced Jax, and that whole first segment, I was like, I think that was the first 25 minutes, right, Ghost?
Yeah.
That was like the first 25 minutes. I was like, this is but it's good. It's not. I don't hate it. And then you get to where Sub-Zero is walking up to Shang Tsung, and he's like, I'm no longer Bihan. I'm Sub-Zero. I was like, that's kind of corny.
I said the same thing.
Why do you have
the same thing?
Why do you have to announce you just became Sub-Zero? It's so much cooler if they just referred to you as Sub-Zero. Like, you got to make it known that you're Sub-Zero. I was like, man, come on. And then again, coming into the fight scene, and then when Jax fights him, that fight scene was pretty awesome too. Jax gets his arm broken off with ice. That was legit. I like that twist because there's so many different versions of how Jax gets his arms. I actually like this. I was like, okay, cool. That's the segue into how he's going to get his arms. And then he goes to Sonya, and that whole bit of them explaining what Mortal Kombat is, the tattoo being chosen, I like that part too. Before, if you watched Annihilation, when they introduced the tattoos, it was the bloodline for Raiden, what's his name? Shao Kahn, and their dad. I can't remember who their dad, which elder god he was. in the movie.
Shinnok.
Was his dad Shinnok?
Yeah, Shao Kahn's dad.
Yeah,
Shinnok.
there you go in the movie. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And then it disappears in Annihilation when if like you can grant some of that tattoo to follow through portals. But that whole segment where Sony's explaining it, I was like, man, this is so stupid. Like this is just dragging on. Where's the fun in this? They could have done it in I feel like a better way. And then you hear Kano's voice, and just like Scorpion, every time Kano is in the screen, he steals the show. I could not stop laughing.
Kano wins.
Right, I was like, this is awesome right there. I was like, this is amazing. I'm gonna just on the Kano part. Do you guys remember when he's when they're at the dinner table or lunch table, they're at dinner table, and then they're talking smack to each other? I could not stop laughing when he said, This fellow wears a hubcap for a hat. I was dying. I was like, man, Kano's a savage. So
he called Kung Lao Kung Pao.
Kung Pao, yeah. That one was funny, but it was for me, it was the hubcap for a hat. I was like, man, this guy is going in on everybody. And throughout the whole movie, pretty much every scene he was in, he stole it. And I think that was like one of the saving graces of the movie was Kano, and Scorpion. But everything else, I just felt like it was poor acting. Even the guy who plays Shang Tsung, I am so accustomed to seeing, I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Kerry.
I can't say it, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
Yeah.
He played Shang Tsung, and I feel like when the video graphics of the video games got up to par, I felt like it was him on the video games. And I got so accustomed to seeing him, and he's not cocky, but he's confident. This guy was just the guy who plays him felt so smug, and I was like, man, you're not even intimidating. You're just irritating.
He's the Asian mob boss from The Dark Knight.
Is that him? Oh, he's the banker.
The banker.
The bank, yeah, he's the banker, the accountant, whatever. But he was just not as intimidating, and the other guy was intimidating with his confidence. So I felt like the acting was subpar. And then I'm not gonna lie, if this was ever introduced in the Mortal Kombat universe, I didn't know Arcana. I had not heard of that until this movie, and again, something I was open to, and it explains a big thing. Again, if Arcana wasn't it, and I didn't know for this long, holy crap. But it explains how Sonya Blade gets the power, being a normal human. I also like the tattoo transferring from person to person if you beat them, so it kind of continues it. And then Cole Young's, here's my thing. Cole Young's transferred in his family, so did the former family member have to die to get the tattoo? Did his mother die giving birth, so the tattoo transferred over? So for me, there's little things I'm like, explain that. If he was born with it as a birthmark,
good.
How did it pass down? So
good
those
points.
things,
Good points.
like those things irritate me. It doesn't irritate everybody, but it irritates me. So that part was great. Now, getting to like the end of the movie and the final fights, they were pretty cool. Sonya kicking Kano's ass. I feel like at least a good guy should have died, because if you think about it, the only one that died was Kung Lao. And his death was pretty awesome. Like,
yeah, his death was awesome.
He goes flawless victory, and then he just gets caught up. And I was like, damn. Let me put this out there too. Sub-Zero has always been my favorite character. And so is Noob Saibot, because I liked the original Sub-Zero. Before I knew he was a bad guy, again, growing up, watching the original game, you didn't know he was a bad guy. You just know he was under mind control. So, and then Noob Saibot became one of my favorite characters. But Liu Kang has been always one of the characters you're like, damn, Liu Kang's cool. The guy who acted as Liu Kang, oh my God, I was irritated by him. Like, the original Liu Kang in the movie was motivating. He wasn't like a downer. This dude just felt like he was full of himself. Like from the get-go, I was like, man, this doesn't feel like a Shaolin monk. This feels like a Johnny Cage, man. Self-absorbed, all about, you know what I mean? It just didn't feel like that. Same with Kung Lao. Like, y'all don't seem like Shaolin monks right now. Y'all seem self-absorbed.
They were, and I do agree. Like I think it's a younger Liu Kang, but he didn't carry that legacy Liu Kang that we know from the original movie and the video games.
Right. There's no humble. He's not humble at all. He's just
it was pretty lame, like how he just shows up with the sunrise going on, and then and then he tells Raiden, "Oh, I've gathered all the Earth Realm warriors." I'm like, "No, you didn't. You just been wandering this desert until you miraculously saw the other Earth Realm fighters."
Get onto that point, and he said, "I found Jax, but you found Jax, got him to the temple, but you were in the opposite direction of the temple." Like this movie was just all over the place in so many aspects. I feel like I'm dragging. I'm just gonna jump to the end. Like the closing scenes when Hanzo Hasashi comes back and Scorpion's like legit, and he's like that whole fight scene again. This is a no-brainer. We know Scorpion's gonna Sub-Zero's gonna come back as Noob Saibot because right at the end, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna do a sequel to this movie. It did $10 million in the first weekend. I was following that too. So it made $10 million in the first Saturday and Sunday. That's crazy. It's probably more by the end of Sunday. But I feel like this is another thing that I was like, yes, even though I didn't like most of the movie and almost all of the movie, Scorpion's going to be, Sub-Zero's going to become Noob Saibot. Let's go. Right. And then I hope they don't do this because this is from the video games. This is one of my biggest moments. When they had the whole zombie era. Right, I was like, please don't bring no zombies into this movie. And there's that, I can't remember, was it Armageddon or the one before Armageddon where there was
my gosh.
There was zombie characters. It's like, man, why? And then at the end, Shang Tsung says there's life after death. And I was like, fuck, don't do zombie characters.
Yeah. No remnants.
No remnants.
Revenants, whatever you call them.
Right. And then like Cole Young, getting to Cole Young in the end of the movie, I thought it was pretty legit, like kind of mirroring the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie within the same bloodline. And Cole Young's character and that whole evolution, you're like, all right, cool. So this movie, like moving forward, it's probably not going to revolve around Liu Kang like the original ones did. And again, I'm open to it. It was just, for me, the bad storytelling. The terrible acting aside from Hanzo Hasashi, Bihan wasn't bad at all either. And the guy who played Kano, like you're like, holy crap, these guys kind of stole the movie. Everyone else is just Sonya's character. Jax wasn't bad either, but Sonya's character and all the other Kano, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Raiden. I hated Raiden. Raiden sounded like an asshole the whole movie.
Yeah, he wasn't noble at all, and he's just sitting in his throne or his temple, not doing anything. What a lousy Earth Realm protector.
You feel me? I was just like, damn it, man. But that's my take on it. I give it a solid 3. I did talk to a couple other people. I know. I'm telling you why I gave it a solid 3.
Out of 10?
Out of 10? I was talking out of 5. Out of 10, I'd split it. I'd give it like a 4.5 or 5. 4.5. Okay. 4.5. And I'm going to tell you why. So I talked to a bunch of my friends who knew nothing about Mortal Kombat, kind of walked into this blind. They said they saw the trailer with Scorpion and Sub-Zero fighting, and they're like, this is legit. And they liked the whole movie. And I get that part because if you think about it, look back at all the COVID movies. Like Bruce Willis did 3 COVID movies, and you're like, this is a shitty movie, but it's not bad. I feel like they've become accustomed to that COVID platform of movies where it's not like holy crap, but it's movies, right? But at the same time, they don't know much about Mortal Kombat. They haven't seen the first and second one. Because when I told my friend, I was like, this is the 3rd movie. This is a reboot. You should watch the original. Yeah. When he watched the original, he was like, oh my God. But he liked this one as it sat before he saw the original one. So I'm going to say, that's why I'm giving it a 4.5. I'm going to stick to 4.5. If you don't know anything about the Mortal Kombat universe, you're going to be like, this is a great movie. The pandemic times, $50 million budget. It ain't no $100 million Marvel budget. So I feel like they did decent with what they had. Casting could have been better. Storylines could have been better. Writing on the dialogue could have been much better. So 3.5. I love Mortal Kombat, so I felt like I was a little crucial. So I became a little lenient on the judging. I'll kick it to either one of y'all want to take over. I feel like I rambled a little bit. If I did, I apologize.
No apologies. We're here to review it and talk about our points of views on the movie. So
yeah,
you gotta keep it going.
That was great. That was great, Reaper. You really touched up on a lot of the things that I was looking at from this movie. Just like Reaper, is okay if I go, Zyda?
No, go ahead.
Just like Reaper, I was I'm not sure. I might be even more disappointed, but I was very disappointed with this movie. I grew up with Mortal Kombat, and I feel like this movie didn't do a good job explaining the lore of Mortal Kombat. It's actually much more deeper. It's much more richer. It's much more character driven series franchise. And what we got was more just a lot of style and not really substance. There's so much content out there for Mortal Kombat to just explain the rules of the world of Mortal Kombat. The director didn't do a good job explaining like Outworld, the Nether World, or in an Earth or Nether Realm, out or Earth Realm. They didn't do a good job explaining like these other realms that exist within Mortal Kombat, and that's why we have these odd like species of beings like Melina, right, with her mouth,
Yeah.
Goro, who's a Shokan. Um, the director just didn't do a good job telling these type of characters and why is it's Outworld, right? Outworld.
It's Outworld, yeah.
Outworld is why it's so dangerous because it's dominated by a dude named Shao Kahn who you don't get anything except for a painting of him. But I think they could have the director or whoever was in charge of like just creative, they could have done like a 10-minute sequence just depicting these various realms that comprise of Earth Realm and why Mortal Kombat exists. I mean, one of the worst parts about this movie, in my opinion, is there's no tournament. It's straight up a guy that's introduced, Cole Young, and he has a tattoo, and he's just being told that there's a tournament, but it doesn't even happen. Apparently, this movie is supposed to set up for a tournament, and I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do that, at least make a good movie. And in my opinion, it wasn't a good movie. It was just again all style, no substance. I think we had like a lot of bland settings to get through this movie. I feel like Cole Young, when he took his family to some sort of undisclosed barn, I was like, okay, did they just go to a random barn? They didn't really explain whose barn this is. It was safe. I was like, is it empty and therefore it's safe? Um, even like I think like the fight between Kano and Sonya, they're just fighting in Sonya's RV or her
Her
wherever she lived in
trailer.
her trailer, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why would these
Trailer home,
special
yeah.
forces live in a junkyard? Um, I just didn't get that. And then there's even moments where I was like, why didn't Sonya like look for Jax? That's her partner. Like he got defeated by Sub Zero, and then she kind of just forgot about him and was like guiding Cole Young and Kano to get to Raiden's temple because Kano knew where it is. I still think we could have gotten a sequence where Jax and Sonya apprehend Kano and therefore also introduce the Black Dragons. Because what is the Black Dragons? You don't get that at all in this movie. Yet
Yeah.
you get Kano and Cabal, and it's like, okay,
Wait.
are they like a terrorist organization? How do they work? And
Yeah.
they could have
To
done
quote, to quote Kano from the movie, I am the Black Dragon. Like, that's all we know.
that. That guy, I think he was in Superstore, the actor. He was like the pharmacist.
I did some research on him. He's a comedian.
Yeah. So
I was like, that's crazy.
I just think like Kumar already, I mean, Reaper already touched on a lot of the things of this movie. I just feel like it didn't do a good job explaining the rules of this world. It didn't do a good job explaining why Mortal Kombat had like why have there been 9 tournaments and therefore they needed one more to take over Earthrealm. Like did Outworld take over
Another realm.
another realm, and that's why like it just keeps going, and that's why Mortal Kombat is important. It just didn't do that, and it just I would say this movie did a good job of depicting gameplay, but not story. Gameplay. Of course you got the fatalities, you got the blood, you got the gore, but you didn't get. It wasn't a good story. I mean, I feel like Rico, like he was General Rico, he has more depth than what we got in this movie. He was just a basic grunt where he's like, and he was just breathing hard on Jax, and to the point where he gets his head back. And this is a general. This is a general under Shao Kahn, and this is how he goes out. It's like this guy could have easily been set up as like a character that could have started like a coup in Shao Kahn's court because that he wants to be in charge. He wants to be a ruler, just like Shang Tsung wants to be a ruler of Outworld, but they're all operating under Shao Kahn. But again, you're not getting that in this movie. You're not getting this mythology, the lore of it, and because of that, I give it a 4 out of 10. Again, the setting, the story, the music. I don't even remember any of the songs in this movie. But when you watch the original Mortal Kombat, you're gonna think of that intro song right there. Mortal Kombat! And then even the reptile song, the reptile, and then ding 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 ding, like those songs are so iconic. And I feel like the dude who was composing the music was just putting in techno because he thinks that's what Mortal Kombat is.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, that's for sure.
And hold on, one more thing, Zyda. I didn't mind Cole Young, but I still feel like he could have been a legacy character just because there are so many characters. I read theories like he could have been Chameleon, he could have been Tremor, he could have been a whole bunch of other people, but they decided to create this new one for this movie, which I really had no problem with. But there's just so many characters in the Mortal Kombat universe. I still think he could have been a legacy character, and I still think it's ending of just getting everyone hyped for Johnny Cage. Yeah, I'm hyped for Johnny Cage, but I just didn't think it was that like I didn't think it had to end like that, but what can I say?
Well, Mr. Hollywood in the background for you, Ghost. So you know.
I agree with Adrian on the Johnny Cage point. Like, he's not gonna save the next movie, even though he's a staple character. I told Ghost, like I was expecting to see Johnny Cage in here because he's a staple character.
Mm-hmm.
To use him in the next movie, whatever. But like I think I told you this too, Ghost. It has to be Johnny Cage who does the splits and takes out Goro. Like that had to have been a thing, but it wasn't. So I was a little let down, but you know.
I mean, Mortal Kombat has its cheesiness, but it also has its depth and seriousness, and that's why it's an awesome franchise. It balances out.
Yep, that's right.
How do you feel about it, Zyda?
I felt it was whatever to me. It wasn't anything great, but it wasn't like the worst, right? I guess for me, that's what I keep saying to everyone that I've talked to so far with this, is that it's not the best movie, but it's not the worst movie that you're ever going to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not basing it off of just Mortal Kombat movies. I'm just basing it off of movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I did get that mix, reviews of, oh, I liked it, I enjoyed the movie. And then I also got reviews where they're like, oh, this is dog basically, right? Yeah. So for me, like I said, it's whatever. I didn't feel anything towards any of the characters. I mean, if you played the game, then you know the background of mainly all the characters except for the new one, which is Cole Young, right? And I did not care for Cole at all. I didn't care if he lived. I didn't care if he died. Like, the only reason why I cared for him is because, oh, he's supposed to be the one that leads everyone to the first win, I guess, right? Since this is the 10th tournament that they're having.
I think, you know what? I also, to chime in on what you just said, I feel like the main lead couldn't carry this movie.
Well, question on that one. Sorry, Zyda, to interrupt.
Okay.
Do you think it's the writing, or do you think it was the acting, or do you think
it's the writing?
Both? I think it's the acting. I'm sorry. I think it's the writing too. Sorry.
It's definitely the writing. I know Louis Tan could do way better than that.
Yeah.
So before the movie came out, I saw Russo at the end of this, and I thought it was a Russo brother, and I had to do some research. It's not one of the Russo brothers. It's Greg Russo. So I was a little, but I think it was the writing. That's why Cole Young wasn't what he could have been.
Yeah. I feel like, so with a lot of the characters, I don't know if I'm going to play into this, but the whole Asians being in movie and can't carry, I feel like that's because people don't know how to direct towards Asians being the main cast, right? So as you see in this movie, like you said, Kano is the highlight of the movie, basically. He has all these quip one-liners, these jokes that you laugh at. He's like this guy that you gravitate towards, even though he's like this guy that you're supposed to hate, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think the original Kano brought that out, where he's this character that you hate. Mm-hmm. But then for some reason, I was loving Kano. I was like, I've never liked Kano more in my life. I was like, dude, I hope this dude wins. Like,
Can I ask you a question, Zyda? Out of all the characters on screen, who felt authentic?
Authentic? I would say I don't know if you guys felt this because you guys touched on it earlier, but I felt Kung Lao was the most authentic to me.
I
Mm.
felt I felt like Kano was the most authentic. Like you're getting, I think I phrased that question wrong. Like the actor brought what his perception of
Mm-hmm.
the authentic Kano would have been like. Sorry,
Uh,
that's what I meant. Like
It was
that's what my who was the most authentic character? Who portrayed the most authentic character? You know what I mean? Who brought that? I felt like it was Kano. That's why we loved him so much because he felt like, hey, this could be Kano.
yeah, that's true too.
no
I
win.
just really felt like I wanted to hate Kano more, and I didn't
Couldn't.
hate Kano.
I hated
And,
Kung Lao so much.
and I'm not saying that like I hope that he did a bad job. I'm saying like I wanted because even when he turned, I guess in the movie to be the bad guy,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's whatever. I don't care. He's still this cool guy.
It was so
Like,
funny. It was so funny.
And
Yeah,
like that's why I was like, I don't care. Like I don't know. That's why to me, like I wanted to hate Kano as the character, right? I wanted him to be like this evil villain kind of
Mhm.
like badass that you want to hate, but I didn't feel that from him. I just felt like he was this cool dude, I guess. I don't know.
He was great.
He was a
I
funny
say-
jackass.
I say Kung Lao because I feel like he has always been, I guess, that loner standoff type.
Hmm.
I guess, right? I don't know. I don't know too much about Kung Lao, but like when I played the game, it just felt like he's just, I don't know, maybe it's the hat, right?
Kung Lao.
Kung Lao, yeah.
But
So
I felt like his kill, I guess, was the best kill out of all the movie. And that line, even though he said that line, I mean, that was more pandered to the video game, right? I was like,
Flawless
okay.
victory.
yeah.
But the best line that might be controversial. I'm surprised now you talked about this, but I feel like we're gonna get a little X-rated. But I feel like if they made a adult parody version of this line is gonna be in there, and it's the Cabal line where he's like, "Oh, he's about to get his soul sucked."
So sucked.
And it's like, that's what I felt. I'm sorry, but once he said that, I was like, dude, I'm dead. I was like, oh my god, like why would you even have this line in here? So that's how parody it felt. Like you did not need that line,
Yeah.
No, you know what? I don't think I found it as funny as you because when I heard it, I was like, that's so fucking cringe. Because as a diehard fan, like I will take like that was supposed to be like death, and he made light of like a very serious moment.
Exactly.
And I was
That's
like,
why.
man, that's not funny. What happened in my head? But I did. It was a funny line.
But it's not supposed to be funny. But that's where it went for me, right?
Yes.
I was like, this is so cringe, and that's why it was so funny to me because it was so cringy. I was like, oh my god, that line should have never been in. Right? All right, so besides Kano, of course, I felt like Sub-Zero and
Yeah, of course.
Scorpion were the highlight of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Especially any time, like, I felt like Sub-Zero was on the screen. He was the most badass.
Oh, he was scary too.
Yeah. And I love his character, or I love the actor that plays him.
Yeah.
On that note, can I just a little fun fact?
Yeah.
Do you remember Fast and the Furious, the one that Han dies in? Was it Fast and
Tokyo
Furious
Drift?
8? No.
Oh.
The real death of Han. Or when
Real
sorry,
death
when
of Han.
Han
That was
leaves,
Tokyo
sorry,
Drift.
Giselle dies in. The one Giselle dies in.
I think that's 6?
6?
7?
It's where The Rock
I
comes to
don't know,
them
I
for
forgot.
help. That's where
Yeah.
Rock comes to them for help. Do you remember in the subway scene where Han and Tyree's character gets beat up in the subway?
Yeah, that's the dude.
That's Sub-Zero. I was
Yeah.
fucking mind blown.
Yeah.
Did you know that dude is also Jaka from The Raid?
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
Raid.
I
What's
know
the
that too.
Raid?
You haven't seen
Oh,
The Raid?
what? All right, we gotta talk about that another time.
The thing
But-
is, like after I've seen The Raid, anything that has to do with fighting, my standards are on The Raid now.
Yep, exactly.
Oh
So,
man, I thought I knew something y'all didn't, but y'all already knew it.
yeah. So I actually talked to my friend about this. We were talking about Mortal Kombat, and we were saying how he told me to watch The Night Comes for Us. It's on Netflix if you haven't watched it. But the main lead is the guy who plays Sub-Zero. And he felt that Mortal Kombat could have been like that. Because even though this movie got an R rating, I feel like he felt like, and then I agree with it, is that the only reason why they gave this R rating was because all the F bombs Kano was dropping. Like, even though Jax got his arms ripped off, there was blood, whatever. Like, that was just whatever to me.
What about when Kung Lao splits her in half? Like,
Yeah, that was
besides that was
like,
the only one. That was the only one.
Well,
That's
there's Sonya
then,
Blade puts a hole through Melina, and you see the spine. Oh, yeah, that wasn't as graphic.
Rico getting his head bashed.
Rico was see that fight. Okay, so that fight was the weakest fight because the whole montage fight of like you're gonna pander to one fight and then back to the other and then go to the next. Yeah. That didn't give me any like emotions or whatever.
Yeah,
it was like you should have just kept it one-on-one.
You know, doesn't work.
Yeah.
I agree, Zyda. Part of the reason why I like Mortal Kombat is that the fight scenes are more organic, and even the stages are, or like the different settings in Mortal Kombat. The fight scenes, like Sub-Zero against Scorpion. I mean, Sub-Zero versus Liu Kang. Like it's in this darker room in the first movie, the original, and then Johnny Cage versus Scorpion. You had like, you know, nice. You just got these good set pieces, and then it's all organic. It's not like simultaneous fights happening at the same time, and it gets confusing. It just doesn't build up the hype of the fight.
Exactly.
And to that point, talking to your soundtrack earlier, each one of those fights in the original movie, they like the soundtrack built up to the point where you're like getting into the edge of your seat. The soundtrack in this movie for this montage fight didn't do that for me. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, exactly. So you know how last week we talked about King Kong versus Godzilla, right, Ghost? For this, you were saying a word which is pacing, right? The pacing of the movie.
Yeah.
This pacing was horrible for me. I was like, this is what you're talking about in I didn't care for the characters in King Kong versus Godzilla, right? This is I didn't care for any of the characters on screen with Mortal Kombat. So I was like, I don't know. That's how I felt. But for the rating, I actually give it a 5 out of 10. I mean, they kept the moves authentic to the game, which I'll give them credit. Even though I kind of like the whole pandering to the flawless victory quips and whatnot, right? Like at least it's keeping true to the game, you know? But I just didn't get that in-depth feeling as I would want to see in a movie, you know? Like you still gotta make this a movie.
Yeah, exactly. You still gotta make a movie.
You know, it felt like this was if you ever watched one of the playthrough recordings of Mortal Kombat, that's what it felt like. Because it was like, every time they do like a Mortal Kombat 10 game playthrough video, it's like they show you the movie, but the fight scenes are all like it's like Kano wins. That's what the fights felt like. Like it were reduced versions of what they could have been.
It's a shame too how it works. How Raiden is just sending character X to location Y against opponent Z, and that's your, I guess, your tournament, and it's just not organic. And I mean, one of the stages looked like the pit too. I think the pit too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I still don't understand how I guess once they found their arcana, all of a sudden, like, okay, mainly for Sonya, is like she still hasn't had hers, but once Cole found his and came back to the team, all of a sudden, all of them leveled up. Like they were just getting their ass beats, like a fight scene before, and now it's all of a sudden, no. Oh, what happened? Like,
and Sonya didn't have to technically find her arcana. She killed Kano and already has it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. That's true.
Like, what kind of power up is that?
Again, like, the rules is just not. They're not doing a good job explaining the rules.
Yeah. So
Inconsistent storytelling.
it is.
It,
So
it's oh, sorry, Zyda.
no, go.
It's also a shame like how they're depicting Outworld. It's just they just showed this bridge and then all of a sudden like Shang Tsung is just chilling on some throne and then all his friends are just opening the door and coming through and visiting him and he's just, oh Nitara, beautiful beast or whatever, and then oh Goro, welcome. You know, I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
right.
what the heck is going on here? And then, all right, let's just go to Earthrealm and attack them. The thing about this Shang Tsung is he's dishonorable. He, at least in the first one, he had a code, right? He had to do the tournament in order to do his thing, and then of course the most dishonorable thing was he wanted to fight Sonya Blade, but then Raiden called him out, and then he's like, fine, I'll fight Liu Kang, and then that. But in this one, the Shang Tsung is just straight up like, we're just gonna break the rules and just do
All
whatever
the
we want to
time.
do because the gods don't even care. And I'm like, okay, what's the point then? Again, the rules of this world is just not really well explained in terms of story. There's gods for a reason. There's a checks and balance type of thing going on in Mortal Kombat, and that's why Raiden is there. He's supposed to be this Earth Realm protector, but unfortunately, he's just sitting in that thing in his temple. So
That's true.
I did like the costume designs though. The costume designs were pretty awesome.
The
Even though they
costumes,
got rid of Kano's steel one eye patch,
yeah.
the
oh
scratches.
yeah,
I was like, the costumes aside from Liu Kang, the costumes were on point.
Hmm.
Kano wins.
Well, all
I
right,
love
guys.
it.
Well, I think pretty much sums up our review. The movie's just meh, below average, right?
So to
But
recap, Zyda gives it a 5.
yep.
I give it a 4.5. Ghost gives it a 4.
So average out is 4.5 out of 10. You know, so,
I hope that here's the thing. I'm a video gamer. I've we've grew up with video games and we want the best for video games, right? Like look what Batman Begins did for the superhero comic book genre. It just all of a sudden everyone wants to do comic book films and they're grounding it, they're making it real. It's just getting better and better. That's why I'm waiting for that video game movie that's gonna be like the one. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be the Batman Begins, where all of a sudden these corporate execs are gonna be like, we need to do these video game movies, and then you get the creatives that are like, yeah, let's do it like how it's supposed to be depicted, and let's just have a good story.
I feel like that might never happen because they always get like movie writers. Like we don't get A1 writers, we don't get A1 cast.
Like
the fact that the first one was so good, the very original Mortal Kombat movie was a pure fluke. But no one returned from that movie to do the second one. I'm like, why? Like aside from Liu Kang and like Katana, no one else came back.
It was a different time, I think, and then I also think we have the technology now to do more
justice.
To do more crazier things. Although Mortal Kombat, I feel like you don't have to do so heavy CGI. Like I think you could get away with prosthetics and just good creativity. And but it is.
I pose one more question: which Goro did you like better, this all CG one or the animatronic one from the last one? I like the animatronic one.
I like the animatronic.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is with this Goro, I didn't really care because he was just introduced and then taken out.
Right, all you know is Prince Goro, and then he's
Yeah, and that's it. I'm like,
he went into that room.
So I don't know. So I mean, the way it looks, of course, I would go with the animatronic over, like just like Jurassic Park, right? Like with the T-Rex that they made, it's always gonna look and feel more authentic than CGI. So, but yeah. Any other comments before we close this out, guys? No?
I expect to see a Mortal Kombat 2 just because people, man. And it's WB wants to make money.
I suggest you still watch it, even though we gave it some pretty low scores or average. You still watch it, but yes.
I know. Again, like Ghost said, go out and watch it. Make judgments for yourself. We're just here, just giving our own opinions.
And then come back and tell us what you think.
Exactly. So we'll try to figure out what we'll have for the next review, as it could be something old, maybe something, or we'll wait for something new. But thanks for watching again, and see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.